So I'm going to do a basic pot, and what we're going to do first off is we're going to mark our centre, because we're going to turn up between centres to start with. So we're going to go from each corner. As you can see here, we haven't got a corner, so we're just going to have to sort of go from this side to that side, and that will be our centre there. So we'll do it on the other side as well. It's not going to be a perfect centre, but it's going to be close enough for us. We're going to get a dot punch and just mark that with a dot punch. And then we're going to do the same on this side as well. And that should be our rough centre. So we get stub centre, live centre, get it between, and then we can start rounding it off. So we're going to get our stub centre and our live centre. So stub centre goes into our chuck, oops, and then our live centre goes in our tailstock. And we're going to get these connected up so that we can then turn this between centres to create our mortise. No, not a mortise, our tenon. So then we can hold it in our chuck. So between centres is not perfectly centered because obviously the piece of wood's not perfectly square. So we're going to set our tool rest so it doesn't catch the furthest kicking point of our piece, like so. And then we're going to get our rough and gouge, and we're going to start roughing that off. So I'm going to be using the Record Power 3/4 inch rough and gouge. So before we actually get into it, we're going to start the machine off slow, standing to one side, so if the piece comes flying out, it's not going to hit us. So we're just going to gradually ramp this up so we get a continuous speed of around about 1800 RPM. And then we're just going to gradually work through this. We're not going to go that way. We're going to start on the inside and gradually work our way through, like so. What we're going to do is we're going to keep moving our tool rest in. That gives us the best stability we can get for our tool. The further the tool hangs over the rest, the more chance you've got of it jumping and snatching. So we're going to keep it nice and close to our piece. And we're going to keep doing this until we get it round. So that should nearly be round. Got a little bit there of the bark left, so we're just going to get rid of that. So what I'm using is I'm using my finger to edge against the rest to give me my depth. So then I should get a continuous cut all the way along. So it should keep our piece about the same thickness all the way along. So we're now round. A little bit of the bark left there, but we can turn that off as we turn it out. So we're now going to put our tenon on this end. So for my chuck I need a 47mm tenon. Oops. But there we go, that's my tenon, 47mm. So now we can flip that over and get that in our chuck. So get rid of that out of the way. We're going to keep that up. We can keep a bit of tail support up if we want it up, just to give us a little bit of stability. And now we can start getting our shape of our pot. I'm not going to use all of this. I'll perhaps only use 2.5–3 inches of that. So what we'll do is we'll put a pattern line in there where we're going to go for our depth of our pot. Let's go about there somewhere. I'm not going to go too thin at the moment because obviously we've got to hollow it out, and then we need to level this end off up here as well. So now we can start getting the shape on our pot here. So I'm just going to bring in a small spindle gouge, a 1/2 inch spindle gouge, just to start getting some shape. I don't want too much shape, it's just a straightforward little pot. It's more about the carving I'm going to put on the side of it than the actual pot. Just gradually bring in the shape. Like that, just a little bit of a round edge on the outside of that, I think. So that's our basic shape. So what we'll do now is we will hollow it out, and then we can get it all hollowed before we actually texture it, because we don't want to be texturing it and then when we hollow it out it fall apart or split or whatever. It's just a waste of time of texturing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hollow that out. So if we move you onto a camera where you can see, choose that one hopefully. No, it's a bit blurry. So you can see now we've got our point there. We're going to start hollowing that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a spindle gouge to hollow that out. We're just going to back cut it, just going to make sure our chuck's tight, because obviously we've got no tail support now. So I'm just going to get my gouge, I'm just going to back feed it back, just like so, just to start cutting it out. Just going to check that, see how deep we are, go a little bit more. Alright, so that's our little pot all hollowed out. So what we'll do, we need to put a lip in here for our lid to sit in. So we're just going to get our parting tool. So what we can do now is we can remove a little bit more of that, so we know exactly how much. Now we know exactly how much we want. We can remove a bit more of this waste timber and make it a bit thinner. So that's the inside sorted. So we get it sanded up quickly. So we'll sand the inside up to 400 grit, and then we will do the outside exactly the same. So what I'm going to do is, because where I've taken that out now, it's a little bit thin on that edge. We're just going to get our parting tool, and we're just going to open this up just a little tiny bit. Just to give us a little bit bigger lip there for our lid to sit on. So as you can see there, we've just got that little bit more than what we had, because I took a little bit too much out there. I'm just going to open it up, square that up a little bit, because it's got a little bit of a better. Have a little bit of a chamfer on it, so it's a little square now. So that will be our pot. So what we can do now is we can just refine this bit here a little bit better, so that we can shape that. So when we come to colour it, we know where we're going. So let's just remove some of this and just refine this a little bit. We'll just quickly sand that with a bit of 320 and 400. Let's all sand up to 400 grit now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of carving around this bit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to just mark roughly where we're going to have it. So we'll put it around about here, and then about there. And we're just going to carve between those two lines, just to give it a little bit of character. So what I'm going to use to carve that with is the Proxon mini carver. And I'm going to be using the little V blade which comes with it, so it's just like a little V blade. So let's get that in. So what we're going to do is we're going to lock the lathe off so it can't move on us. We'll turn the lathe off as well, just in case. And then we're just going to put some like random lines through here. Now they're not going to be big lines, because the pot's not very thick in the first place. We don't want to go too deep. Right, so there's the carving on it. Give it a picture of that, okay. So there's the carving on it. So what we've got to do now is just quickly sand it up, get rid of these pencil lines. So we'll just quickly jump back to 240 and sand those out. So there we go. So we'll just quickly run that up to our 400 grit. So we just need to blow all the dust out of our texturing. What we need to do now is sand and seal that. So we will get some sand and sealer out and give it a good coat. So we need to get right in these nooks and crannies, so I'm going to be using a brush just to make sure we get in all those cutouts. Just do the inside as well. So we're just going to denib that with a bit of Scotch Brite. We're going to paint on that some black gesso. So we're going to paint that with some, if I can get the lid open, some black gesso. What it's going to do is just going to give us a dark black base to go to. But the main thing is we need to get it right into this texturing, carving, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to work it right in there properly first. And then we're going to paint the rest of the piece. This may take a couple of coats, but we'll give it one coat and see how it looks. So we're going to turn the lathe on. Not as fast as that though. And we're going to try and get it right up to our edge. We don't want it going over. We want that bit in there natural. So we'll just leave that for a few minutes, see if we need to give it a second coat. So that gesso is all dry now, so we can put the gesso away. And when we can bring out our colours that we want. Now we want a nice vibrant colour over the top of that, so we can bring out, you can either use a metallic or a Joe Sonja or a Descent, whatever you want to use. But I think we'll use a couple. I think we'll use a couple of Joe Sonjas. because they give nice vibrant colours. So I think we'll go with 3 colours. We'll go with a bit of red. Well, it's not red, it's it says red, but it's not real red. Bit of gold and a bit of green. So what we'll do is we'll put our gold on first. Now these don't want to be on very heavy, because what happens if you put them on too heavy is that they'll just come out white, and that's not what we want. We want them to come out actual colour of the thingy. So what we're going to do is we're going to dry brush them on. So we're going to load our brush up, and then we're just going to dry brush it on in random areas, random patterns. A little bit around the edge, go the other way as well, so we get there. So there's our gold. So what we'll do is now we'll do a little bit of green. We're going to use the same brush. So again, I'm going to do exactly the same. Load my brush up and then spread it about the brush. There's hardly any on the bristles, and then we're just going to go across to just going to use the tip of the brush just to give it a bit of streaky effect. Now we don't want to cover that black up. We want to actually leave a little bit of the black coming through, but we want to enhance the texturing. So hence why we're putting another colour over it, so it makes, as you can see, the texturing stands out. So that is the idea of it, to make the texture stand out. So the last colour is going to be red. So exactly the same. I mean, you're using a minimum amount of colour. So let's have a look. So it's not really a red, it's more of a pinky colour, but just breaks up a little bit. You should just about see that red flicker in there. I should turn it. So it's not a massive amount, just a little bit. So I think that will do us. So we're just going to let that dry off a little bit, and then we'll just part that off. And that is all ready to finish. So what we will do on there, we'll just dry it off quickly, and then we'll put a little tiny bit of acrylic lacquer over the top, just to seal the colours in. So we're just going to use a little bit of acrylic lacquer just to hold those colours in. Now it's not to give it a high shine or anything, it's just to hold those colours in. So what we're going to do is just part that off. So we'll get our parting tool, and we'll just part that off. With a slight undercut on the bottom. With a slight undercut so it sits on the rim. So So we just need to clean the bottom of that up, but we'll do that at the end once we get this other piece out of the lathe. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn our lid. So we need to measure the size of our what we need, and that is about 55 millimeters. So the first thing we'll do is we'll get our piece down to 55 millimeters, and then we can get the lid the right size and titivate it to what we need. So let's get this down to the right width. So it should be there somewhere. So what we'll do, we'll just double check that. Yeah, that's a tight fit. So we're going to leave that at that, turn it down to that, and then we can come back and just skim a little. Once we sanded it, that should fit. Slightly too big. We can make that a little bit. Right, so now let's get a shape. We're going to do so the handle is actually incorporated into the lid, just because it makes life a little bit easier. Right, so there's our lid. So let's just get it quickly sanded up. Not a lot of sanding, just a little bit. Take it from about 120 upwards. So there's my little lid. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to part it off a little bit further down. And then I'm going to paint it black to match the pot. So I'm just going to slightly undercut the inside of that. So nice and steady, because we want the best finish we can get off the tool. Making sure we do an undercut on it. So that's as far as I'm going to go. For the moment anyway. So we're going to get that sealed. So let's get some sand and sealer on there. So we're just going to spray this black. I don't really want it down the back, so I'm going to try and blow it across so it doesn't go down the back. I'm going to try and get it on the edge if I can. Right, so we just need to part this off now. So there we go, all finished. Our nice little pot's about 3.5 inches high, about 2.5 inches across, not very big at all. Texturing was done with the Proxon carving tool. You don't have to do it with that, you can do it with a hand carving tool if you got one, or you could do it with a Dremel, something like that. We then sand and sealed it, we then gessoed it, and then the colours we used were the Sonja iridescent colours, We use green, red and gold, just gently dry brushed over the top just to give it a sort of subtle but a little bit of colour. And then the inside is finished natural, curve in the bottom of our pot, so it's got a nice curved bottom, so it's easy to get stuff out if we need to. Finished natural on the bottom of the lid, no wax on those, just finished with sand and sealer. And then the lid I did ebonize and lacquer on the top just to make it black, just to set it off. I thought it'd look a little bit better being black than natural, and then the bottom's just sanded up to 400 grit and then sand and sealed. So nice little pot, enjoyed doing that. Hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. It's not a hard project, but it's just something to something a little bit different. So anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed. If you have, then please smash that like and share button. Don't give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys on the next one. So take care, bye for now.